Hi, and welcome back to Box Office Maniacs and the Big Five. Tonight, I'm going to be reviewing Ghostbusters. Alright, so as you can see, I am a huge Ghostbusters fan. I've been a huge Ghostbusters fan ever since the day I went to go see it at the theaters when it originally came out. I thought the concept was great. I thought that the acting was spectacular. I loved the effects. I loved the idea behind everything. And it was just a classic movie. And then, of course, they made Ghostbusters 2, which I was never a big fan of. There was parts of it I liked, I guess, but for the most part, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Ghostbusters 2. So basically, I still just had the first Ghostbusters movie that I was a fan of, and it's okay, because it was so good, it didn't matter. And you notice I'm here by myself today, because Vince pretty much refused to go see this film, and I'm not getting into that, so if he wants to get on here and tell you why he didn't want to go see it, that's up to him. But this is just my review of the new Ghostbusters. When I first heard that they were going to remake it, I was like, okay, it doesn't really need to be remade. Basically my thought for every movie they decided to remake. And then I heard that it was going to be an all-female Ghostbusters. And unlike a lot of people, I thought, cool. I'm a writer, and 4 out of the 5 novels I've written so far have had a female lead. I think it's great to make a movie with a female action hero, or even a crew of female action heroes, because we don't really have that. I mean, we had it in Aliens, in the Alien trilogy with Sigourney Weaver, and we had it in Terminator with the Sarah Connor, or at least Terminator 2, but, you know, we don't really have a film that we can go out and see now that has a great female action hero or a female crew of action heroes. So what I'm saying is I had zero problem with the female cast in this film. I thought it was a great idea. I was like all for it. So I have a bunch of friends over on Twitter who has gone and seen this film before I did, and they all loved it. They said it was funny from beginning to end. They said the effects were amazing. I even know somebody who went to go see it who normally doesn't like movies, and he even liked it. So I was surprised. I was like, wow, really? So I was very much looking forward to seeing this, because I'm like, all right, you know, I just want Ghostbusters back. I don't care if it's women playing the Ghostbusters. I don't care if there's frogs playing the Ghostbusters. I just don't care. I want the movie to be good. I want it to be funny. And I want the Ghostbusters back. That's all I want. I mean, it wasn't too much to ask, right? The first Ghostbusters did a perfect job of mixing humor with some of the seriousness of the film with some scares. And it's really hard to do that, I'll admit. I mean, I know, it's really, really, really hard to do that. There's only a few films out there who have managed to do that, like Return of the Living Dead and Gremlins, or some of them that I can think of. So that's what made the first Ghostbusters work, I think, is because it was fun, and it was funny, but it sort of took itself seriously. And that's what made it really good. The only person that I know, obviously, is sort of the star of the film, is Melissa McCarthy. And I've never seen a movie with her in it. This is the first one, actually. However, my last job I had, I would go on break, and they'd be showing Mike and Molly, you know, on the TV down in the break room all the time. And I'd watch it, and I thought it was pretty good. And she wasn't bad in it, so, you know, I don't have any hatred towards Melissa McCarthy. So, you know, and I was like, okay, well, you know, now she's like this big star. She's like in every movie that comes out every week. And I was kind of interested to see, you know, how she did in the film. Getting in the movie now. All right. So, like I said, I was really excited. And I even told Vince numerous times, you know, oh, I think I'm going to really enjoy this film. It looks funny. You know, once I started seeing more trailers, I'm saying it looked pretty funny. I thought it was going to be really entertaining. And so I went to go see it last night, really excited. I came out pretty disappointed. Again, this is coming from somebody who I was hoping that we were going to get a brand new Ghostbusters franchise, and it was going to be fun, and everything the original one was again. But it wasn't. So let me start at the beginning here. The problem with the film, for me anyway, is the Ghostbusters themselves. They didn't seem, to me, to have a connection with each other. They just seemed to be there, And Melissa McCarthy, I think, was probably the worst out of all of them because she acted like she was acting, like she was doing a skit, like she was playing a character in a skit. And she just wasn't funny. I just didn't think she was funny at all in the film. Now, the other ones didn't do a terrible job. I don't know them by name, but the one that was sort of the Egon, I guess, character who created things, the blonde woman, she was great. I loved her character. She was funny, she was entertaining, and she, was just a great character. And every time she was on screen, it was great. She did a fantastic job. And the other two, I don't know who they are, but they were okay. I mean, they were just kind of mediocre, okay. But none of them seemed to have a connection like the original Ghostbusters. And that was my problem with the film, is there wasn't any spark there. The other big problem I had with this movie is the original Ghostbusters had a fantastic story with Zool, and they had the gatekeeper. And it was just a really entertaining, creepy, cool story. And of course they had, the Ecto 1, which I have the Lego version of right here. And I have another version of it over there. But, and, it was a cool car. And it was a really great, awesome car. And that was the other thing about this film, is I didn't mind the hearse. And to tell you the truth, when I saw the original Ghostbusters, I thought that's what they were driving was a hearse, because I was a kid, I didn't know anything about cars. And I was like, oh, cool, they're driving a hearse, because they're going to get dead people. Then I later on found it was an ambulance, and I was like, well, okay, that was kind of weird that it's an ambulance. So when they actually made it a hearse in this film, I was like, oh, cool, it's a hearse again, even though it never was a hearse. And in the commercials, I thought it looked okay. I thought the car was kind of cool looking. But then when I actually saw it in the film, I'm just kind of like, they didn't really do anything with the car. And it wasn't cool. It just, I don't know. The stuff on it, because you look at this, I mean, it's a Lego version of it, obviously. But you see all the really awesome gadgets and stuff that's all over the roof, and all these in the original Ghostbusters had a purpose. They all did something, and they were there for a reason, and it's just cool. And they had pipes coming out of the other end of it, and sirens all over the top, and it was just one of the best cars in movie history. The new one just had like 2 or 3 things on top, and it was a very boxy car. It wasn't very sexy, I guess is what I'm trying to say, like the original ambulance was. I mean, come on now, this is a sexy car. And it didn't make that I love the sound of the Ecto 1, it's one of my favorite things. And they barely even played the siren on the car. It was just kind of like, it was there, but you could barely hear it. The other problem I had with this film was the effects. Now, everybody told me, man, the effects are spectacular in this movie, that you gotta go see this in 3D, that it's so great in 3D, and you gotta go see it. And yeah, the effects were disappointing. I didn't like the ghosts very much, and this is something I actually argued with Vince about, is he's like, oh, I want practical ghosts, I want practical effects, I don't want these CG ghosts. And I told him, Vince, I don't mind CG ghost, okay? There's nothing wrong with a CG ghost, because it's a ghost, it can be CG, it doesn't have to be a puppet like the original. And if the original had come out today, everything would be CG, just like it is now. But just the way they did the ghosts in the film, I didn't like the look of any of them. I didn't think they were that scary looking. So yeah, the effects didn't impress me. The proton packs, however, now that is a different story. I love the new proton packs. And that's one of the things that I really liked about the film, was the fact that they showed them how they made the proton packs in the movie. And I thought that was really cool. Because in the original, they just had them. I mean, they didn't explain the technology. They just like, boom, here we created this stuff, and it works. In this, they're developing their technology and trying to get it to work. Great idea. The bad guy in this film was horrible. I don't know who this guy was, and I don't really know exactly what he was trying to do. I mean, they explain it in the film, but then you're kind of like, okay. And I don't know, he was the weak link of this film, weak link. The really weak link of this film was whoever that guy was, and he was walking around mumbling to himself, trying to do something, and he was just terrible. I didn't like that guy at all. However, I did like Chris Hemsworth. He was probably my favorite part of the whole film. He was hilarious. I mean, the funniest part of the whole movie was when they were sitting down talking to him for the first time and interviewing him. I laughed out loud through that whole sequence. That was hilarious. Just absolutely hilarious. And there's one other sequence that has to do with the proton packs and Melissa McCarthy. And it's really funny. I mean, I thought that was pretty funny too. But those are the only two parts in the film that I thought were actually funny. And I'm just really super disappointed that I didn't like the film. It was just mediocre for me. And as a big Ghostbusters fan as I am, you know, I just really upset that they couldn't get it right. However, you know, if they do make a sequel to this, I will probably go see it again, and in hopes that, okay, now that they got this out of the way, now they can give us a real Ghostbusters film, something that's really cool, and maybe that the actors will gel better together in this film, in the sequel, if they do make a sequel. Overall, I would have to give this movie a 2 out of 5. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you did, support us by hitting that subscribe button so we can see you next time on the Big 5 and on Box Office Maniacs. Keep busting.